Hey guys, today I'm going to show you my personal process through making a Decoden phone case. Let's get to it. I'm going to be honest, it's been a grip since I've made a Decoden phone case. Right there I've got some glow-in-the-dark puffy paint. Decoden? Maybe it's Decoden. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure. If you notice the magnets on the back of the puffy paint thing, so I previously had all of my puffy paints up on a baking pan on the wall attached via these magnets. But I don't remember what happened with it, but now that's not a thing. But I do still have all the magnets attached to my puffy paint containers. And you know, puffy paint is just three-dimensional paint. You buy a set of it at Walmart. It's easy to use because it's got that little nozzle for precision. That's what you call that. Ta-da! Drippy. Yeah, I do mess around with that right corner for a good while. I don't remember if I kept it in. I guess not. But I do fuck around with it for a while. Oh shit. No! Oh god. I mean, I'm trying not to swear now, so that maybe someday I'll be able to monetize my videos, so that I'll be used to it. Okay, and I got 100% silicone here. I use a mix of white silicone and clear. It kind of gets the that sort of frosting look to it. You use only clear, it's kind of like, you know, translucent. Seems I can't talk today. The color comes out kind of translucent because it's clear, and then the white one is, you know, very opaque. So when you mix the two, you get that good middle ground, and it's got that soft frosting look to it. But the reason why I had to do all that with those popsicle sticks is because I lost my other caulking gun that had the little stick to poke into the silicone. And you do want 100% silicone, because if you get the ones that are a mix of other things, then your silicone will dry differently, and you know, the way that it interacts with the paint will be different. Because, like, I did experiment once with a paintable silicone, it said, but that stuff, like, when doing the 100% silicone, once it dries and stuff, it's sturdy, but it's like this nice soft squishy texture still, and you can kind of squish it, and it's nice to touch. The paintable kind, it's like, it's very hard feeling, and it doesn't quite seem to get the same dimension as 100%. But I mean, that's just from my experience. So you see, I do one full pump of the white silicone, and then 2 of the clear. And I'm doing like 4 colors here. 2 colors in each piping bag. And again, I'd have cut it out, but you'll see that I used 2 different bottles of the gold, because I'd recently got a very bright metallic gold. But the thing is that sometimes the silicone doesn't quite interact the way that you want it to. The silicone tends to lighten up whatever color you put in there, because you see the black is sort of a grayish. And like, say, if you try to put a deep purple in there, you usually get... It tends to turn any color into a pastel. God, what am I doing right here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, and so I hadn't used this gold with the silicone before. And it was just... coming out muddy to me. I wasn't really liking it. So, again, I did cut out the long span of time I spent trying to mix up the color I wanted, which I still didn't quite get there, but in the end, once I got the phone case all put together, I liked it. You know, I left it for a day and then looked back at it, and I was like, you know what, that's okay, actually. But while I was in the middle of it, I was not having a good time of it. Because usually you don't need a lot of paint, or even if you add more, it's not going to necessarily deepen the color. But again, because I hadn't used this particular paint before, it was sort of experiment time. And I tend to just use acrylic paints, you know, just, again, some cheapish ones you can get at Walmart or whatever will work just fine. Oh, and there's a third go at that. Yeah, see, usually you only need just a little bit of paint. Oh, and there's the cut, and I brought in this other gold that I have used with silicone before. I was just like, well, maybe I can salvage this? Maybe? But yeah, as you'll see with the, you know, the black previously and this blue, you don't need a lot. And I was just getting pissy with that gold and like hoping I could change the deepness of it. So again, because I'm doing a sort of galaxy space sort of thing, what I'm gonna have going is I'm gonna put the blue and the pink in a bag together to have a swirled mix of that, and then the black and the gold, so I can sort of get a rich sort of, either like a sunsetty sort of thing or a galaxy sort of thing going. I think in the end it looks a little more like I'd call it a sweet sky. But, you know, again, by the end of it, I was like, you know what? I like this alright. For my first go at it in a while, I think I did alright. And I've got on there, I don't know, I'm gonna be honest, again, because I don't do baking stuff, I don't know if the piping bag tips have specific names, so I don't know if this one is maybe called like a star or a flower tip, but that's generally the tip that I use. That's the one I like the best, gets me the easiest, the best looking results. I tend to go for the wider tip. Because occasionally I use the smaller one, but I really gotta be precise with that, or mix it with, you know, if I'm doing multiple colors, do one bag with the small tip and the other bag with the wide one so I can intersect them. Because sometimes when I do a phone case with just the small tip, it ends up looking a little empty. A little lacking, per se. I wonder if you can hear my dad playing Fallout in the other room. He's playing 4, it's his first time. Yeah, and see, my original vision for this was supposed to be sort of a, you know, a dark galaxy void black and a bright shimmery gold, but obviously that's not quite what I got. In the end, it sort of ended up looking more like, again, with the fact that the phone case ended up looking more of a sugary sweet kind of thing than a galaxy thing. I think it ends up looking more sort of a like a chocolate frosting sort of thing, which isn't bad. I've just got an old Froyo loyalty card from a place I used to live. To push that all down. Because you want your bag to be nice and tight. And, I mean, you want to do this in like a timely-ish manner. Because, you know, like, but I mean, it's not super immediate. But, you know, you don't want to say, pump out and mix your silicone and then leave it for an hour, because it's going to get all hard. And not be... You probably won't be able to, you know, push it through a piping bag and things. But you also don't gotta panic if you forget a few things, because I had to do a lot of cuts in this video just because I'd sit down, be working on one thing, and be like, oops, I forgot to grab the thing. Oops, I forgot to grab the other thing. Oh, dang, forgot that too. So, you know, you want to do it in a timely manner, but you don't have to panic if, oh, you know, I've got to get the thing from the other room real quick. Like, it'll still be good. Because, again, I did take a good little bit with that gold, and the rest of the silicone sat alright. For some reason, I was just not getting the scoops I wanted out of that blue. Because I put the other three colors in like 2 scoops, but for some reason, like, that blue just did not want to get out of there. Sorry for the footage shaking there. My, you can see the shadow of me shaking my hand out because it's starting to cramp as I was doing that. Anyway, though, I just have my camera on a, like a sort of clamp thing that, you know, you clamp it to the side of a table or something and then screw it real tight, so if I jiggle the table, it tends to react pretty quick to it. Oh, and I did, like, I didn't do this all in one go. I did have to let that puffy paint dry for a good couple hours. Because it's just like any paint. But, that puffy paint is very good for glow in the dark. It's just one of those where, you know, you let it absorb some light, you know, whether it be natural sunlight or just like, you know, UV or whatever the heck, and then When it's night, it glows. So yeah, I don't know, is that a star tip or a flower tip, or do these things even have names? Let me know in the comments. But in any case, that one's my go-to for making phone cases. I just think it looks the best and the most cake-like. And if you're someone who wants to get into this, I do advise you get some gloves, just because this stuff is sticky. I've gotten to the point where I've done it so much that putting on the gloves, it doesn't really do me any good, because I know where to set everything and whatever, so I don't end up with any globs of stuff on my hands. But when I was first starting, I definitely needed the gloves. So I would advise. Advise gloves. Just like, they don't gotta be fancy ones, just get you a box of whatever kind of gloves are your preference. I mean, obviously not like gardening gloves and stuff, like disposable gloves. Because again, this stuff is sticky. Ew. Sounds like Dad's getting bitten by ghouls. So I tend to only do 2 colors in a single bag. Once you get a third in there, the colors don't like mix to make any sort of ugly color. The main issue is usually seeing the third color, because there tends to be 2 predominant colors, and you'll only see the third one. You know, sometimes you won't see the third one at all. You know, you'll put it all in the bag, and then once you squish it all down, oops, you know, the third color ended up in a position in the bag where you just can't see it. Or you've got to, you know, twist the bag around to do it, and you don't really notice until, oops, you've covered the whole case, and, there's only 2 colors. So I think it's simplest to do 2 colors a bag. Anything more than that, you know, 2's company, 3's a crowd. and now I'm gonna set up sort of an extra cushion, a base for the accessories that are going to go on top. See, at this point, I only use the blue and pink as that sort of cushion because I was disappointed in the look of the black and gold. So I was trying to kind of cover it up. I'm glad I didn't go through and try to do globs of the pink and blue over all of it, though. And right here I was trying to make sure that the dangly bits didn't get in the silicone so that they could free dangle. And I mean, for the different accessories and such, I just sort of go scavenger and, you know, pick up things where I can, and then, you know, you find a use for them later. This doesn't always work. Sometimes you end up with a little hoarder's pile of stuff and you think, oh, I'm gonna use it one day, and you keep getting more. But other times you can find some gems. Oh yeah, and here the puffy paint works pretty good as sort of a glue too. I mean, the moon is pretty lightweight, so it's not really a problem for that. If it was any heavier, then I may have put a glob of silicone there, but I didn't want you know, a big old blob pushing out from behind the moon, so I decided to go with puffy paint as adhesive instead. Yeah, I mean, I think the starry sky bit in the middle is a pin I bought online, and then the God, I feel bad because right now my head is blank and I am not remembering their names. But the little twin stars thing is from a necklace that I believe I got from Hot Topic. Don't quote me on it, but I'm like 95% sure. The planet and moon is something that I got from a big festival thing that I went to last year. We went and stayed at a hotel in this one town because my dad was going to do rodeo, and a day before the rodeo they also had, you know, just this big thing going on in the park with vendors and stuff, and one dude just had every single sort of keychain and charm you could ever want, so I got a few things from him. And then these little sort of holographic metallic stars I got from a bead store right here in this new town I'm staying at. No, living in. I'm currently living here now. It's not a temporary. So yeah, it's just sort of a case of, you know, finding nice little things and then seeing what works. Because I usually, I did the same thing with this one. except I didn't show it in the video. But I tend to first, lay out the phone case and then just kind of gather all the different sort of accessories that I'm thinking I'd want to put on it and just make different layouts until I'm happy with it. Then I take a picture of that layout and use that as my blueprint for the actual thing. Cause you don't want to be guessing about what you're doing once you start laying silicone, because it's not a thing where you can you can't pluck the stuff out if you're really unhappy with it, but it's difficult, it's sticky, then suddenly you might get arches and other things in your silicone that you didn't want. And here I've got just some little polymer clay sprinkles. And you do always want to be mindful of where the openings are for the camera and other things. Because, I've done this plenty of times, but I still end up messing up a little where I've got to, occasionally I've got to move a little bit of silicone with my finger because a little bit's in the shot of the camera. I think right now, when I have my case on, there is a little bit of a greenish tint, because where the camera is right around where I have some of the glow-in-the-dark puffy paint. So it's certainly not an exact science, and that's something that you always want to be mindful of, is to keep the silicone away from those openings. Because the silicone near always ends up coming out, you always end up with more than less. So it's better to start your swirls of silicone further away from the thing and let it expand than to put it right at the edge of the thing and then oops, to get that shape that you wanted, it ends up going over one of them. So right here I've just got a toothpick and I'm kind of just pushing the sprinkles and the other accessories into the silicone, just really making sure that it's, good and stuck in there. So I won't have, any shedding of things or of the accessories just flying out. And then I wasn't planning this, but I thought the last minute, because I was I'm not going to get any silicone up there, because the two tips that I've used are way too big. It's going to cover that opening. So I did the puffy paint. And like I said, there's still a bit of the color that you see at the edges of my camera when I have the case on. But overall, it's not, it's not something that takes over the shot or, completely covers the camera where it's unusable. It's just a little tint at the bottom left that you can see. But I really felt like there needed to be something up in this corner. And I like how it ended up looking, and it tied the top and the bottom together. And there it is, all completed, everything dry. you can kind of see the greenish tint of the puffy paint. And I was successful in making those danglies all dangle, and there it is, all glowing. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get better pictures of anything I have glowing in the future, but for now, I think that's a pretty good display. Last thing, if you're interested in seeing more, subscribe, leave me a like. I've got links down below to other social medias I'm on, Instagram, Tumblr. If you want to support me, I've got a store, I got art prints, or, you know, if you just got a couple dollars, you drop them in my digital tip jar at coffee. Alright, see you in the next video.